Good evening, City of Alhambra, Planning Commissioners, residents and audience. People Ramirez, resident of El Monte. I know I don't live in Alhambra, but I do know that we, similar to environmental, I know we have environmental right here who was part of that project of the Walmart, who did the environmental impact report study. In result, it turned out to be a lawsuit, and we pretty much, as a taxpayer, we had to pay a good amount of money for that lawsuit, where they say they did a proper environmental impact report study and the traffic study. 110%, cracks from that. But what I'm trying to say is, look at the reports. Look at something that is going to be, was the benefit for the real people out there who've been asking for this report to be read. That's why, as a planning commissioner, as any committee, when you do the vote, you read the proper document that you have. And it's a fact, because we're having the same city. I'm just telling this so that way you guys can avoid lawsuits. As a taxpayer, I'm paying the price for it. And I'm sure there will be other developers who said that they did the whole proper study, and now we're in deep, deep in trouble by violations of different codes in the department. So I urge you to oppose this and look at the right proper documents. And 110% from these developers are special interests. They're not for the people. So if anyone opposed, it's freedom of speech. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Packer?
Go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
We'll wait. Keep calling. Later. Put somebody in. Greg Estrada. Greg? Going once? Going twice?
Oh, right here.
Okay, there it is.
Sorry, I was holding
Which
it
one
as
are
long
you?
as I could. Michael Thacker, I live at 625 Meridian. This is my backyard, my neighborhood, the park that I take my children to, the school that my children go to, and I'm opposed to this massive development. I'm not going to echo what other people have said. I'm going to say Lowe's is a blight. If you want to go to Pico Rivera and see, be my guest. There's garbage, shopping carts, day laborers, contrary to what he says. Smog and noise and traffic, of course. These are low-wage jobs. These people cannot afford to live in Alhambra, in our community. We need to focus on getting jobs that can afford to live in our community. I would argue that there should be no driveways on Meridian, period, not blocking the street off. Add a right-hand turn lane on Fremont, and take out some of their precious toxic property. Please, I'm not going to keep talking. I just want you to vote to improve the community, not to enrich the corporate interests that are outside of and at the expense of my children and our children. Please make Alhambra great again.
Kimberly Gomez.
My name is Kimberly Gomez. I live at 625 Meridian. I'm also representing my mother, who lives at 115 Meridian, and I can see the site from my house. I lived there all my life. I went to Emory Park School. And what comes to mind most is, I've seen it in the Alhambra newspaper, most business-friendly in LA is what Alhambra has been voted. And I think about that, and I think about the development in downtown Alhambra, which is looking great. But I also look at how much is crammed into that small area. With the mixed use up against the residential part, we're trying to pack in too much. And we're trying to do it again now. The multi-use, we're losing any green space we have. There's a beautiful, cute little park, Emory Park, as it's known. we should be expanding that. We should add, I've heard talk of a dog park somewhere in Alhambra. We need more green space, not less. They talk about the impact of the rain and the water. It's empty now. It goes right to our groundwater, right? Now this is all going to be concreted over. A few little drains isn't going to do it. We need to expand the green that we see that's getting paved over by all of this that our business-friendly city is trying to do. And it's changing the community, and not for the better. Meridian, for anybody that lives on that street or in that area, everybody knows Meridian is known for speeding cars, racing cars through the foundry, through that area. And now we just want to pack in more cars, more traffic, more pollution. Those trucks, like that one lady said, they are running all night. Big trucks go screaming down Meridian, and that's a very narrow street as it goes towards Concord. I've had 3 people on that street have mirrors cut off, lines scraped across because you can't pass 2 cars. And everyone's going to want to take Meridian because it's the only through street unless you go all the way to Miranda. It's Meridian they're going to take. If you decide on going through with this giant monstrosity, then Meridian needs to be closed off. Not only for the safety of just the residents, but the children. There's the school, which somehow they left off as part of what was in that area. And keep the community a community, not keep industrializing, building up, cramming too much into this small city. This is why people come here. They come here because it's small, it's quaint. We have a fair amount of parks for our size of city. Let's expand it. Let that be what we're known for, not business friendly.
Thank you. Anna Contreras.
Good evening. My name is Anna Contreras. I've been a resident of Alhambra for 40 years now. Years ago, my best friend used to live in Alhambra, and her son, they moved away when they come to visit. Her now 20-year-old son would, at the time, maybe 7, would say, "Oh, I always know when we're getting close to Anna's house. It's that city with where the houses have porches." And clearly, to expect that to continue is to live in the past. But that does speak to the quaintness of what Alhambra was. I'm not afraid of change. I am just, obviously, for 40 years I have seen change. And I've been very comfortable with the pace of change up until about 12 years ago. Something shifted. The feel of Alhambra has shifted dramatically. The buildings on Main Street are so god-awful. And they're mixed use. There's some really good business there. I personally choose not to go there because it's just not worth it. Finding parking, driving through Main Street is horrific. So just a little bit of background of where I'm coming from. I didn't do anything. People have told me, what is wrong with you people in Alhambra that you don't do something about what's happening here. But when I heard that this was going to be happening on Fremont, I could not wrap my head around this. It's just inconceivable to me that Fremont, as horrific as it is, that you would consider putting this development and compound the problem and be under the illusion that a few more stoplights would help mitigate that. I came here just simply to talk about the traffic. I personally now, as much as I can, I avoid Fremont. That is finished, I just started. No. I avoid Fremont. And what I do is I take the side streets down the residential area. And because the same thing happens to me, I'm on the north end, I get cars speeding down my street. I'm very conscientious, but I know I'm not the only one that's conscientious. I mean, I know that there are very few people actually that are conscientious. So not only are you also going to have your problems on Fremont, all of the side streets, all the way over probably to Atlantic, and is going to be impacted. When I began hearing people speak, though, I don't even know how to explain my horror. I have to admit, I was ignorant about the Superfund site. So to come here and to hear the discussion, and thank you for informing me, that this is a Superfund site and that you are actually considering this, firstly, inconceivable because of the traffic development, and then to consider moving forward without an environmental impact study is very disturbing. And I just, it's almost like Alhambra has a soul, or used to have a soul. You're losing it. So I would beg you, please, seriously, consider your residents, consider Southern California, be a model, make Alhambra great again.
Brandon Creel?
Good evening, Brandon Creel, 2809 West Grand Avenue. I'm a business owner in the city, and I also I commute down Fremont every single day. Live half a block up Fremont, so this takes me as looking back at my life every day. That said, I support the project. I believe, it is pretty bad as it is, but I think honestly it's going to be kind of a negligible impact on the traffic, because I think what the city has done is unacceptable. I think they need to do more to improve traffic along that road, but I think holding the property owner hostage over that and the consumers, I think, is not the right thing to do. I think that overall it's good for competition, it's good for sales tax revenue. I think as I drive by the property, it's a blight to drive by at this point, but it does give better jobs to the area. Overall, I think it's a good project, and I think right now I do have to drive about 40 minutes to get to Pico Rivera to get to the nearest Lowe's, because even though it's 10 miles, it's quite a bit of traffic. But overall, I do support the project. Thanks.
Thank you. Irene Gomez.
Hello, my name is Irene Gomez. My family moved into 112 South Meridian Avenue in 1952. So I have seen the traffic that has started coming down Meridian and the damage that it's doing on Meridian. When we moved into the neighborhood, of course, way back then, one-car families. Now, of course, the buildup that is on that street on Meridian and the cars that are parked in the street with permits on both sides is like the young girl said, you have to give one car leeway for it to cross. I was going to say a lot of things about traffic, but where I'm boiling down to is I went to Emory Park Grammar School. I saw the changes, and I'm okay with changes. But when you see little kids walking down to get to school, 2 blocks down, and traffic starts on Main Street, and it's like if they put it on second gear to get down to the boulevard stop. And it splits at one point halfway down, and it goes up Hampton, Stockbridge, thank you. The cars going up Stockbridge, fly up Stockbridge, cars coming down Stockbridge, fly down Stockbridge, and at that one little intersection, there's little kids that are crossing. And sometimes they don't always have parents that can help them. They have to walk down 2 blocks to Meridian. So that alone is bad. But if you approve Lowe's coming to Mission and Concord between that area, the traffic that is going to be coming and the type of people that are going to be driving through trying to find Lowe's, it's not going to be all that great. I work for Lowe's, I work for Home Depot, and I can honestly say My experience with Lowe's wasn't all that great, and I think I'm a good worker. The traffic that will be coming, and when they're lost, and you see all these kids coming out of school, there's a boulevard stop there. They have a crossing guard. And people say that they're not going to have a lot of contractors driving. Contractors drive big trucks. My street is broken up, and asphalt is all over the place. I call, and sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. Right now, there's a lot of potholes on Meridian. So I don't really want to see a big store come there. I wish it could compromise and find something good where everybody would be happy. A lot of changes since 1952, and I've seen them. I just hope you guys really read what's been given to you and study it and make the right decision. Thank you.
You want a card here, and I cannot pronounce the name, so I'm going to put it out, so maybe somebody can think of when that is.
Is it me?
I think it's you.
Gloria? Gloria Valladolid, Post Office Box 3071, Alhambra 91803. Social media. On social media, there have been discussions, and some people erroneously believe that the traffic from Lowe's will be mitigated when the 710 tunnel is built. This is magical thinking because the surface traffic congestion on Fremont near Valley will not be significantly affected by the 710 tunnel being built. Traffic study. On the last page of your traffic study, you say that by 2030, if the 710 is built, there will be a 24% reduction in traffic. Yet, at your first hearing at Emory Park, you said you could not mitigate the future. You said you did not know about future traffic. Inconsistent. Pasadena conducted a study and issued a fact sheet with their findings. If the 710 toll tunnel were built, in fact, they said it would increase the traffic at freeway connections. I encourage everyone to examine the facts, the existing data, and stop discussing the outdated 710 tollway, which has been a figment of people's imaginations for 50 years. One of the benefits that people have mentioned here about this project is taxes. And it seems to me that the city of Pasadena doesn't need any more revenue, city of Alhambra does not need any more revenue. We seem to be able to spend tens of thousands up to 100,000 when we cause Fremont and Valley to be closed every year for our 710 day. And if we have all of that money to spend to cause traffic congestion for all of our residents, then we don't need any more revenue.
Tom Williams. Dr. Tom? Okay, come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Tom Williams. I'm a 35-year owner-occupant above this site, but in El Sereno. I've watched it for a long time. I see the LA County building every day. At night, it's not so bad. However, this project is, must say, the project itself is one thing. The CEQA compliance is a very different thing. I spent 20 some odd years with Parsons Corporation doing CEQA, NEPA, all around the world. So was quite upset with this particular MMD. So some of the basic elements. Project objectives. Why is the city putting project objectives into a CEPA document? I don't know. Are they a partner to the applicant? Because it's supposed to be the applicant's objectives. Then, for assessment of impacts, you use the maximum case that's physically allowed. And if you go to ATMD, if you have a stack that produces 100 and you're only operating at 80, that's your problem. They still calculate it at 100. So, for growth inducement, somebody mentioned Midway. Well, if you look at the vacant land and the parking lot lands around this particular project, there's a huge growth potential. All you have to do is, like along Main Street, put in the parking structures and you'll get all sorts of development going. Then there's cultural resources. I've done archaeology. Problem. Nobody ever apparently looked at the 1923 and 1928 aerial photographs of the site. They were there. They are there. They do exist. Used in LA City quite often. But they weren't used here. So there was some speculation as to what was there, what wasn't there. If you need, I can bring you a digital copy. Hazmat. I've done hazmat. Does anyone know what a gradient flow is? That's been used in the document. But nobody knows what a gradient flow is unless you're a groundwater specialist. I know what it is. But it's not appropriate to a public document, especially when it's not defined. Oh, and some people talk about all of these reports that have been done. Footnoted, citations, references are not being provided to a publicly accessible link. There's a lot of documents in there, there's a lot of references, citations, but they're not accessible to the public. CEQA is for the public. Oh, then, basic elements. Continue this issue until your next meeting, because here's one of the things. The MMRP, Mitigation Monitoring Reporting Plan, was distributed on January the 12th. Not as the notice of intent said on 12th December the 2nd. It wasn't part of the package originally. So we only got it on the 12th of this month. So give us 30 days from the 12th of this month for the MMRP. Oh, by the way, it says Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Plan. However, there's no references to reporting in the text. So all in all, we have a basic problem. The MND is inadequate, incomplete, and I would seriously recommend a different consultant the next time you try to do this, because doing it right the first time is a lot easier. There's also a matter that alternatives. This should be a specific plan for that section of Fremont. There are many mitigation measures that could be done. They are much more expensive, but they would solve basic problems. However, in your approach in the MND, it says, well, we only have to mitigate that which is our fault, not the rest of it. So, thank you very much. I hope you continue the issue until your next meeting, but we'll see you either in appeals or in court. Thank you.
I did ask her to read this.
I'm sorry, she has to be here.
She does?
She does. She
Okay.
does have to be here.
Can I turn this in to?
You can give it, you can hand it to Scott.
Okay, I'll write her name.
Ed, lines.
Yes, my name is Ed Euling. I own one of the adjacent properties to this property. I've owned it for about 30 years. And being at this meeting is really interesting to me because I'm one of these people that goes to the city council or the county commission in Las Vegas and complains about what the government is doing and outrages that they commit in favor of the casinos and all that stuff. But what I'm amazed at, well, I'm amazed at several things. How articulate everyone is in speaking to you. It's on both sides of the issue. It's really interesting to see that for me. But I'm wondering what planet people are living under. I'm thanking my lucky stars that I picked up and moved to Nevada, and moved to Las Vegas, and got out of California after being ripped off by the government in a number of cities here, and the favoritism and all that stuff. And I'm just amazed that anyone can put up with the level of difficulty that it is in doing a simple project like this. I would invite the Charles Company to come up to Las Vegas, and I have a project for them that I'd love to do, and it isn't nearly this complicated. I read the study on the internet last night, and I couldn't believe how complicated it is and all the issues that have to be considered to deal with the sensitive people. It's just, people complain about the traffic, yet I was here when they blocked the 710, and what do you expect when you block a freeway like that? Where do you expect the traffic to go? It ends up on Fremont Street and other places. Those things happen. You know, I'm not saying I'm happy with what. By any means, what happens with the city of Alhambra. I was expecting a tax of $20 a year or $50 a year on my property, and I've ended up with like $400 a year because the city passed this crazy thing about lighting, and they've put up my property for foreclosure probably 10 times during the time I've had it, but no one will buy it, unfortunately. So I still am stuck with this property, and so anyway, I appreciate being able to be here. It's been really interesting to see the how everything is being done and how articulate everyone is. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Sanchez.
Good evening, Planning Commission, and thank you for your time and your service to our city. Also, I'd like to thank the developers for investing in our city. I am a resident, been a resident of Alhambra for 25 years. I do live on Meridian, 316 South Meridian. And I've seen this project firsthand, and I think it's a great project for our city, especially for what's been there before. We have old, looking barrack warehouses that were an eyesore to us. We have an old tow yard that was there. Now we're going to have a real nice, building, and especially a Lowe's. Being in the business I'm in, I'm going to be using that place daily. I'm not your typical housewife, but I will be using it. And I thank you, because yes, going to Pico Rivera or Burbank, which I do go frequently, is a 40 to an hour drive to get there. It's not a 10 or 15 minutes. As far as traffic, yes, I agree, there is a lot of traffic, especially on our city, on my street on Meridian. And if I don't get out of my driveway by 7:45, I'm going to be stuck in my driveway for 10, 15 minutes because of the traffic of the students, which is acceptable. They're dropping them off. And if the city does decide to close Meridian, I think it's going to be a win-win, because that's going to eliminate a lot of people cutting through our street to get to Mission. So I'm all for this project. And also, if we do decide to close off Meridian, I think that's gonna be a win-win for all of us in that neighborhood, because that's gonna eliminate a lot of traffic coming down Meridian. So thank you again for your time, and thank you for the investment in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. David Barber?
Good evening. I do live in the Emory Park area, and I believe in general growth is good for cities. If we take a not in my backyard attitude, it is usually a fatal public policy, and it ends up in cities' decline. From what I've seen by the presentation, I very much approve of the project. I'm impressed with the level of detail that you have to go through to bring in retailers. We're not fracking here. And I think this is great for the city. It's great for the residences, and I really advise you to vote for it.
Thank you, David. Maria Gass, or Gus?
Good evening, Commissioners. Maria Gal. I'm here on behalf of Evik Chang, the president of the Alhambra Chamber of Commerce. And the Alhambra Chamber of Commerce enthusiastically support this project. I'm also here on behalf of evik.com. We're at the corner of Meridian and Mission, a local business. We also support this project. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. I have one card here with no name on it. Did somebody turn in the blue card that didn't get called? Going once, come on up, it must be you.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be really quick because everyone's
Can I
already
get your name
talking.
first?
Oh, my name is Christine. 517.
517 Westminster Ave.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the reason that everyone's already talked about it, which is our concern, is traffic. Another thing is, Emory Park School is really close to where I live, and I'm just concerned when the school let out the time. They have, I believe it was like 4 different times they let out. Same time when in the office, people are gonna go to lunch. And it would be, traffic, I don't know, it would be, I'm concerned for the safety for little kids, and some of them, they do walk alone, so that's why another thing, whichever you approve or not approve, please consider around the area, not just Meridian, and a couple blocks around the school. Because I do see that sometimes some people are like putting a brake very suddenly, I hear the noise, it's like the kids scared kind of thing. So I just worry that I just don't want to hear and read a newspaper saying someone got hit or someone got killed because of the crowded, from the offices or employees going to the lunch and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm concerned. Okay, and then thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to allow the rebuttal from our group over here. They would like to rebuttal on any of the terms at this time. Yeah, let's give us a minute. Okay. We'll take a little 5-minute recess and we'll come back.